Welcome back to Cameras, Crowns, and Chaos. I'm your hostess with Emosis, Lindsay King, and this is a special episode, a very special edition. I have a co-host for this particular special Tuesday edition of the podcast. This is my brother, Nash. Nash is a college graduate. He graduated from the University of Miami. He is an Army veteran, and now he is pursuing his ambition to go to law school. Now, what Nash isn't is a Bachelor, Bachelorette Nation fan. He has never watched anything from the franchise. But when I had this idea that I wanted to do this special edition, I was looking for a co-host, and he was like, hey, I'll do it. And I thought, this is perfect because A, he has no idea what he's in for with this season of The Bachelor, with the drama and the chaos and all that stuff. And B, it'll be really cool to have like a male perspective because as females, we tend to see things one way. Men seem to see things another way. So I'm really excited. So we're just going to like jump right into it.
Sounds good.
All right, perfect. So this special edition of the podcast on Tuesdays is going to be a recap of The Bachelor. And we did both watch episode 1. We're not going to recap that too much. Couple, little things to point out, but we're going to jump right into episode 2 in just a minute. So episode 1, what did you think about everyone getting out of the limo?
Well, let's see. I took a lot of notes.
I love your notes.
So there's a lot on there. Obviously, a big high point, the no drama llama from
gosh.
Alex.
Alex with an E.
With an E.
Alex with an E.
Yep. And I'll just say I was not a big fan first episode.
Me neither. Oh my gosh. I was not a fan at all. I honestly, the whole no drama llama thing, it super annoyed me. I don't know why it got under my skin, and then she was annoying me. My feelings did shift last night.
Yes, I agree.
And that does happen a lot. I feel like you can go into The Bachelor and night 1 and night 2 or episode 1 and episode 2, you really love someone and then it starts to change, or you really don't like someone and that starts to change. But I definitely did not see my feelings on her changing because I just thought it was cheesy, but it wasn't just the llama that was cheesy. She seemed cheesy.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be mean. It just, I don't know. There's something about her. I'm like, she seems like she's trying to be too gimmicky. And I want to see real people. I know it's reality and I know a lot of things are super scripted, but I really do want to see real things. I want to see real people and real things. So I agree. The llama, I was like, what is that? I did love the one girl who got out of the car. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Beverly, but I could be totally wrong. Whoever it was that had a rhinestoned basketball. I thought that was pretty cool. Because she plays basketball, it was all rhinestoned. Yeah, I thought that was neat. That's one that I for whatever reason sticks out in my head. I wasn't a big fan of the girl that got out and had him take pictures of her.
Yes.
The social media manager. I'm not great with names. I'm going to have to get better.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There were 15 last episode and I was still struggling even though they cut half of them out. The basketball one, I did take notes on that. That was Latia.
Oh, that was Latia.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. That makes me actually so happy to know based on last night's episode.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I didn't really think much of her at that time. I'll say that. Although I will say the basketball matched her dress.
Yes, it did.
That was pretty nice. Nice touch.
I just thought it was creative and cute.
Yeah, sure.
You could never bounce that basketball, but as someone who loves rhinestones and I love to bling everything, it caught my attention.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't care for the picture taking, loved the basketball. Were there any that you had that, kind of stood out for you?
Yeah. So first episode favorite, which I'm sure there will be some talk on this, was actually Zoe.
Oh no! You are disowned. Okay, carry on.
But okay.
Oh gosh, this is exactly why I wanted to have a man on here.
Now, opinion definitely changed on the second episode.
What they say about opinions?
Everyone has
assholes.
one. Oh, yep.
Yep.
No, I liked her because the t-shirt cannon. I thought that was cool. It was interactive. Cool. It was different. And I don't know. I just liked it. She even had other girls wearing her t-shirt, which is crazy.
Cool. Which now I know that in hindsight, those girls are probably like, oh, hell no. Yeah, I can't believe I put that t-shirt on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I will say you're right. that was creative. It was a really good entrance. It was interactive. I thought it was fun. And I was good with her till that point. But when she walked in the house, a woman can recognize shade in another woman without a word ever being spoken. And I literally looked at Carly and said, she's going to be trouble. This girl is going to be trouble. And boy, do I think I was right.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. At the time, I did not see it, but yeah, later, I definitely did. Bailey was the one who was having the pictures taken of her, the social media manager. Yeah, so yeah, I thought that was very weird. She made it all about herself, and I feel like the idea of The Bachelor, again, I've never seen it before now, is you're trying to find a connection with a person,
right?
And it was all very much like me, 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 and I don't think that's necessarily in the second episode. She showed a little better than that. It seemed less me centric. Not that she didn't like elevate to my favorite status in the second episode either, but she showed better, I think.
I totally agree because I was not a fan of hers in the first episode at all. She just seemed very into herself. And then I did feel like last night, she kind of tugged at my heart a little bit, being, sad and feeling like she didn't get time with him and all that jazz. But I also think that the girls have to make sure that they're really making the most of every moment and every opportunity. Like, she came across in her intro as very me, 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 me. So that might have not been something that led him to say, I want to spend the most amount of time with her.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your thought on, what did you think when his sister came in? Did you think that she was going to be like another competitor? Because obviously you have not seen her. You didn't know her from when he competed on the last episode. So did you think she was another girl or?
Yeah, I thought it might have been an ex or something because they cut to commercial before they reveal her in this one. And so that's definitely what they wanted you to think. And I definitely was like, whoa, because he had this reaction when she came in. He was like, whoa, or something like that, right? So I thought that was what was going to happen. But then it was his sister. It was very wholesome.
It was sweet. She was a little cheesy, but I think she was just so excited. But I was laughing because when she walked through the house and she was walking to the outside and like the girls were like, who is that? Who is that? Whatever. But somebody said something to the effect of, oh my gosh, her badge was hanging out. It was like, I don't even remember, to be honest, if her dress was short. I just remember that comment.
I remember the comment. It was that she was walking vagina forward.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like, I don't know how one walks vagina forward. Hopefully that's not how I walk, but then when they said that, I laughed so hard. And then after she was revealed as his sister, I thought, oh man, I bet whoever said that is regretting their words. And I don't remember who said it, but what if whoever said it is who he ends up with at the end? That's going to be like the first thing that she ever said about her sister-in-law was she walked vagina forward. Right. I thought that was kind of hysterical. So yeah, so I was impressed with the ladies as a whole. In the first episode, I thought there were a lot of really, really beautiful women. And
for sure,
I thought a lot of them seemed like sincere, very genuine, very sincere, because you're going to see that that's going to change and it's going to shift. And there will be real villains and then there will be created villains, like the ones who, like you and I talked about the one day, they can give you a bad cut, but like also they can't force you to say anything that you didn't say. Right. And I know it's reality TV. I know that they can splice things together, but I still feel like they can't really make you say something that you're not already thinking. So you'll see, like, people's personalities change and whatnot. And the first night, they're all usually girls, and they're happy for each other and they're sisters. And like, if you noticed after the rose ceremony, the first rose ceremony was over, some of the girls were leaving and some of the girls were like, I love you, love you. And I'm like, that's the fakest thing. You've known her for like 12 hours or something like that. But whatever. But in years past, watching both The Bachelorette and The Bachelor, because Wayne asked last night, we were watching Carly and I were watching in the bedroom, and he came in there and he said, is it always this dramatic? He said, is it always this dramatic, or is it dramatic like this with the men too? And we said, it is. Sometimes it's even more dramatic when it's one woman and then all the men. So there have been seasons where episode 1 like right out the gate, like it's drama, like hardcore drama. And you can see there's like teams kind of building and shifting in little groups. But I did feel like overall this group seemed to be better. Some of the previews that we saw last night for episodes to come were really nice because you saw girls comforting each other, which was really nice. I think that how you respond to somebody when they are having a moment and they need support says a lot about you when you're also there trying to get the same one thing that they're trying to get. So those are my thoughts on episode 1. Do you have any? Oh, yes.
Two things.
Yes.
We got to talk about, what did you think about The Bachelor? What did you think about Grant?
Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm so into the girls. Okay. So I watched Grant on the season that he was on as a contestant.
Right. Which I never saw.
Right. And I liked him. I had different, I had a couple people I would have liked to see The Bachelor. He was one of them. So I was happy with his casting. I think he's a really nice guy. I feel like he's emotionally intelligent. That did shift a little bit last night, but we'll circle back to that. I do feel like he's emotionally intelligent. He seems to be physically, financially, mentally, and emotionally stable. So obviously that's really important. He seems to just genuinely like overall be a really nice guy. I don't foresee him being a player. I don't see him as someone who's just going to play games. I think he's really here. I hate when they say it. 2 things I hate when they say on The Bachelor. I'm here for the right reasons, and I hate when they say on this journey. Stop using those phrases. I'm so over it. Well, I've been hearing them for like 300 seasons now. But I do think that he's here for the right reason. I think he genuinely, like his heart is invested. He's looking for a wife. So I really love that. One thing that did surprise me though is I did not take him for a guy who would be kissing so many people on the first episode.
I was wondering about that. He has kissed every girl, I feel like at least 3 times now.
Right. It's been a lot.
In the first episode, he kissed like every one of them, I think.
Right. Just about, if not.
As long as he had alone time with them, they kissed.
They got a smooch, for sure.
And, I mean, I understand if you're one of the contestants on The Bachelor, it makes sense. You want to smooch your man because
absolutely
you got to plant that flag.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I don't know, he kissed every girl. It's a little funny.
That's what, okay. So you'll see like there are some episodes, or there are some seasons where like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, they might kiss one person on the first night. And then the next episode, they might kiss, like 2 more people. And it's kind of like progressive as their feelings grow. And then some episodes or some seasons, episode 1, you have a kissing bandit and they just kiss everybody, or they like hardcore make out with everybody. And I will tell you this, like I don't know why, I hate the sound of kissing just the same way I hate the sound of chewing.
Sure.
Like I forget what that's called, but it's like a disorder like in your brain where like you can't handle that sound. So I don't really even like to watch those scenes. So I'm like, come on, that's probably what makes it stand out for me so much on how much he was kissing, because that sound bothers me. And Carly too, she's the same way. But I felt like he wasn't just having a quick smooch. Like he was like locked lips, like hands on legs. But again, that's not something that we've not seen before. Like we've seen that plenty of times before. But that did definitely surprise me. Okay, what was your next thought?
That was actually the next one.
Okay.
So we're on the same page there.
Okay, so then let's just jump right into episode 2.
Okay.
And we're not even gonna start at the beginning. We'll go back in a minute, but this is on the kissing thing and the emotional intelligence thing, because they definitely tie together. On this whole kissing thing and emotional intelligence thing, they do kind of wrap together for me, because when they did the date with Mario, the singer Mario, when he was out there and they do the date in Carolina. Is it Carolina or Carolina?
Carolina.
Okay.
Because she's from
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Okay. Get it. So I thought it was Carolina, but I never heard anyone say her name last night, and it looked like Carolina. So Carolina, when she literally mounted him like a horse and made out with him, first of all, it was so aggressive. Like, it made me uncomfortable. And there's not a lot that makes me uncomfortable, but it made me uncomfortable because it was like, I didn't feel like she was in the moment and just like taking a moment with her man and enjoying her time.
It was like aggressive.
It was aggressive. And I felt like she was making a statement to everybody in the room. Like, look at me. I'm going to make out with him. So she's all on top of him. It looked like a very awkward. Like if I were him, I would have felt like really awkward and uncomfortable, not just because she's on top of me, kissing me in a room of people and also other women that I'm dating, but also because of how aggressive it was. Like I told Carly, I was like, she looks like she could go from kissing to like starting to eat his flesh at any moment. Like this is too much. But on the emotional intelligence thing, what I have felt up to this point that Grant has a good amount of emotional intelligence, and then that whole thing threw me off because his reaction after that, like when he walked in later that night, when he walked into the room so that he could have his time, go take each girl individually and have his time with her and whatever, he was not reading the room. Those girls
Mm-hmm.
were so upset. They were so uncomfortable. Carolina wasn't, but they were so uncomfortable and they were upset and all the things. And he just walked in there like, hey, everybody, like, what's up? How's it going? And I feel like you should have been able to know going into that room that there might have been some hurt feelings, some people feeling a little bit awkward, uncomfortable, whatever the case may be. And he didn't seem to pick that up. So then he pulls Rebecca first to talk. And she seemed like super uncomfortable. I felt like she seemed like honestly, she seemed pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
So he pulls her back to talk. And then when he tells her like the energy felt weird or whatever, she goes into this whole like weird ranty kind of, not rant, but she goes into this whole thing about, I don't even remember, to be honest, but because I feel like she didn't even address it.
Yeah, exactly. She kind of brushed it aside and was kind of like, oh, but it's okay.
Yes.
And
yes.
I was like, you had an opportunity there to be real.
Yes.
And I think that might have impressed him, right?
1,000%.
But she didn't. She didn't do that. She just wanted to be sweet, be nice. She didn't want to like offend him.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely lost her points. And that might have low key been why she didn't get a rose.
I kind of feel the same way because like she went from sitting there looking like a sourpuss to going back and having her time with him. And rather than addressing it when he brought it up, like you said, she was like, I support you. This is your journey. I understand. That's my takeaway from it. And I'm thinking to myself, girl, you were just sitting there upset and now you're not even telling him what he's asking you. And then when they did her little tiny quick interview afterwards, she was like, I feel so much closer to him. I just feel so respected by him. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it's like she's living in Delulu City there.
100%. She is 100% Delulu for sure. And can we just mention about Rebecca too? When they were outside and she went running towards him, she had that red bustier on. All I was thinking was like, girl, you gotta have a nip slip. And then she jumped on him and dang near knocked him over. Like, I think she seemed like a nice person, but she might have just been too much. Mm-hmm. Just too much. Yeah. Just maybe not relaxed enough in her own skin. I'm not really sure. She just seemed to kind of like be playing a game and like playing a character rather than just like relaxing and being herself.
Yeah. Also say on the note of Rebecca, really the only other thing of note about her, I think she's a little bit better a performer than she is.
Oh, 1,000%. Okay, wait. And let me just say this. We sound rude, right? Number one, we don't care. These are our opinions. Number two, though, his college degree is in music. Like, this is what he does. Would you consider yourself a professional musician?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I haven't, I've moved on to other career paths, but at a time I was a professional musician.
Right.
And, that's how I made my money. But,
right.
Yeah, so I know a thing or two. I've seen a thing or two.
Same. And so from my experience, I am, as the oldest child of the family, I think that I am the experimental child. I'm not a college graduate and I don't have a degree in music, but I did take, 10 or 11 years of private voice lessons. I, used to be able to carry a tune in a bucket. So even though I might not be the best singer in the world, I also know when someone else is maybe not the best singer. And I'm not saying she did a bad job.
No,
I will say when she started singing, I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she started singing. I was actually pleasantly surprised and I thought she was doing a good job. And I do think that her nerves got the better of her because you could kind of hear like that voice shake a little bit. Yeah. But she definitely walked up there like she was like, here, hold my cocktail, honey. Like, hold my beer because I'm about to blow everybody away. So I will say in the value and in terms of singing, based on what we saw on actual singing, she probably had the best voice. I do think that she had the best voice. I didn't think that her performance was the best. It wasn't the most entertaining to me. Actually, Carolina, this was funny because I kept noticing her in the background when other people were performing. She was unimpressed with literally everyone. She was unimpressed with everyone. Like,
I didn't
she
notice that.
was like making faces, and it wasn't like mean faces. Like, you could, like, she wasn't being mean or nasty or anything like that, but she wasn't doing the whole like, I'm gonna stand and smile and this is great. She was like, okay, all right. I did kind of actually appreciate that about her, that she did have a little bit of realness there, so that was nice. But yeah, Erica, I was not overly enthused, or not Erica, sorry, Rebecca. I was not overly enthused with her whole vibe and whatever. So okay, any more thoughts about Rebecca?
Nope.
Okay,
that's about it.
Rebecca, as we know, has been eliminated. All right. Should we keep talking about the second half? Because I definitely have other notes about the second half. So maybe we should, we'll talk about that before we move on. So was there anything, and when I say second half, I'm talking after the first date's over, now we're moving into the second group.
Right.
So do you have any specific thoughts, notes that you'd like to bring up about the second part of the episode?
I think we should probably talk about Latia a little bit. So yes. Carolina won the performance. part of it, but Latia ended up getting the rose.
She did.
So
she did. And let's just say that it's always interesting. Like I love the way that they produce the show because they'll cut into someone's face when Grant's about to give the rose, and then the girl doesn't get it, and her smile goes from like, yeah, oh my gosh, like I know he's talking about me to like, congratulations. And they're just so. But I mean, I get it. Like you're there competing, so that's just human nature. You're going to be disappointed. But I 100% believe that Carolina for sure thought I got that rose. I locked that rose down when I jumped on him. Like, I know I've got this. So I think when she didn't get it, she was pretty, not just disappointed. I think she was actually kind of shocked.
I agree.
It's in the air. It's so damn cold in here.
I agree. Actually, on that note, let's, I want to go back to Carolina about the kiss. Okay, I got to give my take on that because one, it was so public. I did not realize that in The Bachelor, they put on like full like productions and shows and like fill a room with like a crowd. Even for like the basketball game in the first half, I was like, oh, they get a lot of people to show up for, to watch these like, 10 women play a basketball game.
I know, it's so crazy.
But yeah, there were so many people in that room. And that was the weird thing, I think, like it was just so public and aggressive. I don't think Grant necessarily realized that until later though, because I think he was into it. I think he was.
Oh, he was definitely into it.
He was grabbing butt cheeks.
I was watching his hands. I was literally watching his hands because to me, that's a measure of how much is he into it, right? So I'm watching his hands on her butt and I literally saw them start to go down and then back up. Yeah, he's getting into it. And then back up. Like, it's like his conscience kept telling him like, hey, there are other people here. Right. So I completely agree.
Yeah. So I think that also might have been why when he went to talk to the other girls, he didn't realize because he was just very into the moment.
He was in the moment.
Yeah. And I think he got a little carried away. Well, or Carolina did, whichever one. Both.
I think they both
takes two to tango.
For sure.
So yeah, I think that was probably why going into it. But anyway, we kind of, jump back to that. Let's jump back forward. I talked a little bit about Latia, just like I said, she did get the rose. So
yeah, so Latia got the rose, and Latia kind of in the first episode she kind of blended into the background to me, aside from her bringing in the awesome basketball. But she blended into the background a little bit. I was really happy to see her open up and be vulnerable with him last night. And one thing that I think what got her the rose was that she was vulnerable and that she didn't call him out, but she kind of corrected him when it came to herself. So she set a boundary and she showed self-respect, but she also did it in a respectful way when she said, she said, I want to correct you on something that you said. You said, I never get told no because I'm attractive. And she said, I get told no all the time. And I love that she corrected him on that. And she did it in such a kind, polite way. I think that their conversation was deep. I think that they were able to make a connection. And to me, I think she's going to be a very solid front runner for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think the big thing is, I agree with everything you said. I think what could hinder her is, and we'll get to this when we talk about Alex, I think Grant likes a little more pizzazz.
I do too. A little more edge.
And she might be a little too even-keeled for him.
Agreed.
So we'll have to watch that.
He seems like a guy who is going to drive. If he has his choice between driving, a Corvette and a Prius, he's going to go for the Corvette.
Right.
Like he drives
a Ferrari, literally.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's right.
A red Ferrari.
There you go. Okay. So I think he's looking for someone who's completely stable, emotionally and mentally, physically, all the things. But I think that he's also looking for someone who is a little bit edgier, who's someone who he can have adventures with and take chances with. And so for the girls who are playing it too safe, or the girls who just seem too safe for him, I think even if he has a strong connection, there's going to be that dash of something missing for him where he's just not going to be able to, he's just not going to be able to commit. I think that's what's going to be hard. And was it, I think it was on the preview last week for the end of this season. I always forget, where did I see, what season was this on? But I'm pretty sure that they showed at the very end of this, he's having a breakdown and crying and talking about, I'm in love with two women. I'm in love with two women.
I did not see that.
I'm pretty sure that was this. So I'll have to go back and reference, but I'm pretty sure that was, that's this season. And it does kind of take me to that question of, is he in love with two women? One who's got a lot of edge and pizzazz, but maybe not quite as stable. And then the other one who's completely reliable, totally stable, but maybe just not bringing the same level of excitement. Like we've seen this in the past where someone is coming down to the wire, they're in love with two people, because they really kind of want a blend of two different personalities. But that kind of does make me wonder if that could be what it is. Because I think that you're right. I think that could be the drawback for Latia, for sure. For sure. Any more thoughts on that?
That's all I had there.
Okay. So let's see. Let me look at my notes here. Yeah, so I was happy when Latia got the rose, but I'm sure that Carolina was not. On Carolina too. She said when the girls were sitting there, and she said, I don't want to step on toes, and I'm not the kind of girl who would make out with someone on a group date. And then the one girl goes, but you literally did. You did. And I kind of felt are we going to see her be a little bit of a hypocrite? I don't necessarily think so. I do think that she was saying I was taking advantage of the moment that we were in. But I also think that she seems like an intelligent woman, but also was not understanding why the girls were upset. She had said to Grant that, or maybe she said this in her private interview, that the girls were upset because they were unhappy because she was happy. That's not why the girls were unhappy.
Right.
The girls were unhappy because you threw yourself on him in front of them. Kissing him in front of them is one thing. Everybody feels uncomfortable with that because that's in everyone's mind. That's my man. So they're all uncomfortable with that. But you threw yourself on him and you didn't just kiss him. You were trying to prove a point. You were making a statement. I'm going to get as aggressive as humanly possible. And I don't actually recall seeing Grant and Carolina stop kissing, I think that it went from like hardcore makeout to they cut to the next scene where they were both standing up.
Right.
So at what point did they stop making out?
Yeah, who knows?
Like, and why did they have to cut? Like, these are the things that are going through my head last night. Like, did it go too far and someone had to be like, yo, like, we got to bring it down? And you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like she also was not reading the room, or she was not understanding that the girls are not unhappy because you're happy. The girls are unhappy because of the way that you behaved and the way that you got, you know, your attention and whatever.
Okay, I will say, I do think that whole incident, though weird, was fair play.
I don't disagree. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I don't like it, but it is fair play.
Yeah, compared to Zoe in the first half.
That was bullshit.
I don't think that's fair play.
Okay,
and we'll talk.
so,
I guess we'll jump into that. Huh?
You know what? Yeah. Oh, in my notes I do have Carolina was looking like a bubblegum Britney Spears and was not impressed with anyone's entertainment. Okay, so yeah, so let's just jump into the Zoe thing. Okay, so they go on their little basketball date. The girls get divided on teams. So you know, like episode 2, they're already pitting the girls against each other. And let me just say, the girls don't need any help being pitted against each other. Like they will find it in themselves to do it, to be that way. But they're pitting the girls against each other. They're putting them on teams. And man, did it get crazy. It got aggressive. So you said what Carolina did was fair play. I don't disagree. I don't like it, but I don't disagree. I do feel like with the Bachelor and the Bachelorette, just about anything is fair game. Just about anything, like there are rules, but there kind of aren't rules. And sometimes when there are rules, it's more just manners, tact, and decency. And so they're not, you know, hardcore written in stone. Like I would say that Carolina did not show any tact or decency in my opinion. But do I think what she did was 100% wrong? No, I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but no. But on the Zoe thing, so they go in and, you know, they get divided into teams and they bring out some coaches and some kids. And I thought that was really cute. So there's a little boy coach and there's a little girl coach. And they're working with the women, you know, to kind of teach them basketball and skills. And so then they decide that they're going to have a, what do you call that? Not free throw, like
a slam dunk tournament?
Yeah. I really forgot. So they're going to have a slam dunk competition. So everyone, I think at this point, everyone was taking like a turn to practice. Isn't that what it was?
Yeah.
They're all like taking a turn to practice, you know, trying to do a slam dunk. So as you know, the women go and they take their turn. And so what does that take? Maybe 15 seconds or something like that. So when it's Zoe's turn, Zoe says, I'm going to go ahead and skip my opportunity. And instead I'm going to pull Grant to the side. Is that okay? And I was like, no, that is not okay. Like you're taking a 15-second opportunity and you're going to turn it into much longer. So that is not fair play in my opinion.
Yeah. So I'll say at first, she mentioned before they even played basketball. She mentioned, right, because the little card that they got said, you know, shoot your shot. She's like, well, I'm going to shoot my shot. And I was like, respect, be aggressive.
Yes.
Take initiative. I like it. And then even when she stole them away, I was like, okay, like, you know, maybe a little much, rubbing all the other girls wrong. I was like, maybe a little much, but I was like, but still, I can respect that.
Okay.
And I will say, even afterward, she was just like, what exactly did she say? She said, she was basically just like, I'm not sorry about it.
Yeah, no, she wasn't.
And I was honestly like, okay, real, like,
right.
respect
I mean,
for
that is real. That is real.
And so I was, up until that point, I'll say I was even on her. I was kind of like, because like I said, I liked her from the first episode. She had a little bit of personal favor coming in from that one. But later in the episode, she pushed it way too far.
100%.
So
100%.
Yeah,
and I think because I didn't like her in the first episode,
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't. I like the shirt cannon thing, but when she walked into the house,
right.
As soon as she got with those other women, I was like, this girl's gonna be trouble. Like I can feel it in my bones. Like my spirit is telling me she's gonna be trouble. So I already didn't have the best impression of her. So when she stole him away, we also don't know how long they were gone. And when she came back, she did make a comment and said, sorry guys, we might have been gone a little too long, or that took a little bit longer than it should have, or something to that effect. And like even the kids, the 2 kid coaches, they were making comments. One of them said she should just be disqualified, you know? And I just feel like from the mouths of babes, you know, if you have a kid standing here saying like, hey, these kids don't watch The Bachelor. They don't know how the format goes. They don't know, you know, that's not normal. So they must have been gone for a hot minute. I feel like for the kids to start being like, you know what, this is ridiculous. But yeah, so anyways.
And I will also just say on the note of Zoe, maybe part of the reason I liked her in the first episode so much, I think she was the prettiest out of all the girls. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Do you have a prettiest?
You know, usually I do, but I actually don't this season because I feel like this is probably overall the most beautiful and most unique group of women. I don't know that I've seen in a long time. And to be fair, honestly, every single season of The Bachelor, the women are like, they're drop dead gorgeous. Right. Like they are so beautiful. And obviously beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But I feel like there's some really unique looking women this season. They have like a different kind of beauty, a unique kind of beauty. I love the little blonde. I can't think of her name. She got the very first kiss. She had a white scarf on. And she got eliminated last night. Dina, yes. Yeah. So I thought she just looks like really pretty girl next door, really wholesome. I think that Juliana, she's Italian. She's like real bubbly. I think she is gorgeous. I will be honest with you. When Zoe got out of the limo, I did think that she was pretty. I was like, wow, she's a tall glass of water. Like she's really pretty. And then when she went in the house and I just felt like a weird energy from her, my opinion shifted. That's also where I feel like when you're dating somebody and if you go on a date with somebody and you don't find them attractive or you don't feel like physical chemistry, but then like you get to know them and then you can become more attracted to them. I also think it's why people fall apart sometimes because they're initially attracted to someone based on what they look like. Then they get to know them and then they're not really into their looks anymore because they know them, like they're inside their person. So yeah, I don't know. I think she's pretty and obviously she's a model, but she's not my favorite. And again, it's probably from more of an internal place than anything. She is a beautiful woman. I think Bailey's really cute. Even though Bailey's not my favorite, Bailey with the bob, little short hair, I think she's really unique. She's really cute. Rebecca, I liked the way that Rebecca looked last night. I felt like she looked softer than she did in the first episode. And sometimes I think that comes down to makeup. She's got a really unique look too. I think she's pretty in her own very unique way. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on. I feel like there's a lot of girls on the season that are just, they're gorgeous.
Yeah,
I know I'm missing a bunch. I know I'm missing, the majority of them, but Yeah, they're all really, really beautiful. Okay, sorry. Oh, wait, you know who's really pretty?
Who?
Allie Joe.
Yeah,
Allie
100%.
Joe. And this is way before your time. So there is a huge age gap between Nash and I. He's 26 and I'm 28. No, he's 26 and I'm 43. So like my what do you call it? My pop culture references aren't necessarily like from my childhood aren't necessarily yours.
Yeah, she mentioned Britney Spears. Never heard of her.
Oh, shut up. Okay, but this one you may never have heard of because she's even older than me, but she was on Baywatch. Yasmin Bleeth. Do you know who that is?
Nope.
Okay, you gotta Google her. Yasmin Bleeth.
We're talking the original Baywatch.
The original Baywatch.
Okay.
That's the only one that counts. Yasmin Bleeth is the most beautiful. She was stunning. Dark hair, bright blue eyes, just gorgeous. And so the first time I saw Allie Joe, I was like, holy crap, she looks like Yasmin Bleeth. If you pull up a side by side of them, because I did it last night for Carly and Wayne, they look very similar. Obviously, they're not identical, but there's something about Allie Joe. She's a hard one to look away from with those eyes. They're so piercing and then her dark hair. I think she's beautiful.
Is Allie Joe the one that brought a cannoli? No, that was.
No.
There were two like Jersey Italians.
Oh, she's Jersey. Because last night she was like, this is where my Jersey's gonna start coming out. And I was like, oh, let's
go. Oh no, she showed up the heart-shaped pizza. That was.
Oh yeah.
Which I like that. That would have worked on me. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Listen,
I famously in our family have a love of pizza.
Oh my gosh. Every Friday night when he was a kid, no matter what anybody else wanted for dinner, every Friday night we had pizza because that's what Nashy wanted. And what the baby wants, the baby gets. The other siblings in the household, so there's 3 of us older kids and then there's Nash. And the age gap is not much different between him and the other ones. They're, we're all within 3 years of each other. And then here comes the, sweet, most wonderful, perfect gift. So yeah, what Nash wanted, Nash got, and it was Nash's world and we were living in it. And you'd think that he'd be like a brat. Like you would think that he would be super, I for sure thought that curtain was about to go and expose all the crap back there. You'd think that he would be like, just like a really entitled person, but he's actually the opposite. He's like the most chill, like giving, kind person. I really don't know how that happened because it wasn't just mom and dad that spoiled you and grandma. It was Josh and Brandy and I too. Like we couldn't help it, but you were such a good kid, so it was easy to want to do all the things. Anyway,
back to the Bachelor.
That's neither here nor there. I can cut all that shit out if you want. Listen, I just get so proud. Okay, so what were we talking about? Allie Joe pizza. Okay, yeah. So pizza. Well, they always say like food is the best way to a man's heart, or you get to a man's heart through his stomach. Okay, so perfect. So yeah, that was awesome.
So we're jumping all over the place.
Yeah,
that's okay.
That's fine. There are no rules here.
So I mixed her up with Juliana, who brought the cannoli, and I thought that was so smooth because they Lady and the Tramp did.
They did
right when they first met. And I was like, that would also work on me.
For sure. Like, you're getting that close to a beautiful woman and you're getting a cannoli.
Yeah.
I mean, are you serious? Like, yes, please, check me. So they're actually 2 of my favorites.
Okay.
Juliana and Allie Joe are 2 of my favorites. I think that Juliana, last night, she seemed kind of ditzy, but in her first episode, she didn't seem like that at all.
Yeah.
So I feel like she's going to maybe get that edit of like kind of like gum girl, but I don't think she's a gum girl at all. I think she's very smart. I think she's very sweet. There's something about Juliana. I just really like her a lot. Allie Joe, I don't think she's a villain, but I think that they're going to definitely try to give her more of like a bitchy edit based on last night's episode. Zoe, is it Zoe or Zoe? Because one of the girls called her Zoe.
Oh, I've been calling her Zoe.
We're going with Zoe. I think it is Zoe, but sometimes you like shorten people's names. So I personally think Zoe is going to be the villain in my eyes.
Yeah.
But I also feel like they're going to probably give Allie Joe a psycho edit because she was going hard last night. And I wasn't mad about it. I wasn't. But at the same time, I was also thinking as someone who's been part of Bachelor Nation for many, many years, well, since the beginning, I was thinking like, girl, you better be careful what you say. You might want to rein it in on those private interviews because this is gold. This is reality TV gold. Every nugget that you're giving them, and you're going to make yourself look like a psycho. But she wasn't wrong in her feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like Allie Joe a lot too. And, I think obviously she's a very aggressive person. First of all, she's from Jersey.
Right.
And, love people from Jersey, but they're known for being aggressive, for speaking their mind. And
which we love.
And we're like that too.
Yeah.
And she's a boxing trainer.
Yes.
Right? So she's a
baddie.
Might knock someone out.
Well, so I doubt it. She said about basketball, she said, I'm not good at basketball, but I am good at fighting. And I was like, I'm going to love this girl even more. I can feel it.
Yeah,
I can feel it.
She's fun. I like her.
Yeah. And that was before there was even any drama with Zoe.
Right.
That was like right before they started basketball. So when all the kids came in, so I'm kind of jumping a little bit back to the basketball thing. I thought it was funny, like when all the kids came in and as like the special, guests for basketball, and the women were like, yay! Well, of course they're all gonna clap and yay because they're on a show where they're trying to date someone for marriage, and of course they're gonna want to look like they love kids. But I'm wondering, do all those women really love kids? That's what I think too. Some of them seemed a little bit put on, but who really, really got my attention was Natalie. Mm-hmm. So Natalie, she's beautiful blonde. She sat with, and she had kind of blended in up until this moment for me, but she sat with one of the little girls and did deep breathing with her. And I thought that was really awesome that she walked away from the reason that she was there for to focus on someone who needed her time, attention, and support. And I just felt like that said a lot about her. And it definitely did not feel like something that was put on for the camera. Like it seemed legit, like she really legitimately cared about this kid.
100%.
So I like that.
And it definitely won her points for me. And it also definitely won her points for Grant, I think. Because later on he referenced that, he noticed that. In fact, she got the rose.
She did. She did get the rose. So I was really happy about that because also to me that's how I keep hitting my microphone. Oh my gosh, it was like way over here. So who knows if anyone will even hear me on this podcast. What did they do? Okay, sorry. I liked that he gave her the rose because that also tells me like he's not looking at this from a superficial level. He really is looking for that right woman. So that I felt like it was a really good indicator too, really just showing and proving that he is here for that specific woman. But I love that she did the deep breaths with her. And then I thought it was so cute later on when he had a little video of the little girl and she said, I don't remember what she said, like, hi Natalie, I miss you, or I love you, or something like that. I thought that was really cute. Like that was really cute because that also tells you that little girl really felt that genuine connection with her. So that was awesome. Okay. So I have on my notes that Zoe had pulled him. So back to Zoe for a minute. So when Zoe pulled him, I did kind of feel like he wasn't super into it, but he went to be polite. Serafina was saying like this was the wrong time, wrong place. And I definitely agree with her. And I kind of felt like Grant maybe sort of had the same feeling, but also he knows that the women are there to get to meet him. He's also there to get to meet them. At the end of the day, he's looking for a wife, so you're not going to miss any opportunity.
Right.
But he didn't seem to be like super, super into it. And
I'll say that's something he seems to do. If a girl tries to interrupt his one-on-one time, it seems so far he has trouble saying like, wait, just give us a minute, let's finish up real quick. Yeah. And like I said, I don't know if I love that.
So, okay, to play devil's advocate, I do feel like you see that oftentimes on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette when someone goes to steal him or steal her. Usually, the Bachelor or Bachelorette will kind of defer to whoever they're sitting there with, and they will let them say, "Sure, no problem," or "Just give me 2 more minutes." Once in a while, the Bachelor or the Bachelorette will say, "We just sat down, give me just a few more minutes, and then I will come find you." You will see that, but I do feel like more often than not, they really do defer it to the contestant. So I kind of wonder if that's one of the things that the producers has told them, like, let them create or let them make that decision because that could create drama, or you
I could see that.
That's kind of what I think on that. But like, I definitely thought that it was kind of crappy when he was with Zoe, and then Allie Joe came in, and then was that not the weirdest setup? Like they were like 15 feet apart. What the heck was that? So then he's over there with Allie Joe, and Zoe's standing there the whole time, like behind that thing of books, that pillar of books, and she can hear the whole conversation. Right. And you know that Grant and Allie Joe both know that she's standing right there and she can hear it. So what kind of an actual in-depth conversation can you have when you know she can hear and is absolutely eavesdropping? And then she goes over there and says, "Can I steal him back and just say my goodnight?" And Grant should have said to her or to Allie Joe, because of how he handled it with Zoe, and he told Zoe, "I'll be right back." He should have said to Allie Joe, "Don't go anywhere. I'd like to continue to talk with you. Give me another second."
Yep.
He should have stood up, gave Zoe a hug, and sent her on her way. I feel like in that moment, that would have been the most appropriate thing to do. Because the most appropriate thing, in my opinion, is that when Allie Joe came to take her time, he should have said, "Zoe, it was so nice talking with you," and sent her out that, you know what I mean, at that time. But because he didn't, so he didn't make it right the first time, or he didn't do it right the first time, and he didn't make it right the second time. And it just wasn't hitting for me. And I also feel like he lost a point for me on emotional intelligence. Again, like read the room, man. Like look what's going on. And I get that you're going to have favorites and you're going to have people that you're going to be more drawn to. But if you keep giving your time to 1 or 2 people and you're kind of passing on everybody else, how are you supposed to get to know them?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that this lost Zoe some points. Though anyway, even though he didn't handle it right, I think he recognized that it was weird what she was doing. I honestly don't think she's going to last too long unless she like really shapes up.
I don't know. I'm worried because there are always going to be women that you think like, oh, she's not going to make it. He's going to see her for what she is and whatever. And then they don't. And those women end up making it to like the top 4 or the top 3. And you watch other women go home who were absolutely head over heels. They were in it. They were there for the right reasons, all the things. That is one disheartening thing about the show, is that the person that you think should be picked is not always the person who's picked. And it's really disappointing when you're watching a season and you're like, oh man, you got that backwards. You got that all wrong. And this is going to dissolve within 6 months or a year. And we've seen it happen time and time and time again. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of how those interactions went. And I hope that he gets better with like the one-on-one time and the stealing and just kind of being a little bit more respectful of the women's feelings and whatnot. Jumping back to basketball for a second, Zoe definitely got dirty in basketball.
Yep.
She, in my personal opinion, does not seem to be a girl's girl. I know she's like, I'm just really honest. I'm really honest.
Yeah, no, she strikes me as one of those girls who like sees themselves as a tomboy, actually, in a way.
I could see that.
Because she's an engineer, so she's in STEM. Right. That's pretty male-dominated field. She was a wrestler,
right?
Which is, there's just not a lot of girl wrestlers.
It's true. Listen, I got one of my wrestling shirts on today. It says, "Education is important, but wrestling is importanter." Nope, wrestling mom here.
Yeah, so I definitely see her, and I think that also might be why. I mean, I'm psychoanalyzing somebody I don't know here, but
right, me too. That's all we're doing right now.
True. I think that might be why she is like so ready to be pitted against all the other girls.
Agreed.
I feel like she sees herself as a guy's girl, if that makes sense.
Yes, but as a woman, women can't stand that. Yeah. Women don't like those girls who are always like, I don't really have any girlfriends. I'm just friends with guys because I don't do drama. And we're like, bitch, you are the drama. Like, are you serious right now? But you actually just made a really good point that gave me some perspective and some food for thought on Zoe, which is, you're right, she was a female wrestler in a very male-dominated sport. She's in STEM. So she's coming from environments repeatedly where she is the minority. And she's the woman in a male-dominated field. So she's probably, used to having her wall up. Like, she did mention that to Grant. And she's used to having to fight. But she also is old enough to understand and recognize, because she's either 28 or 30. I think she's 30. She's old enough to recognize that everything in life doesn't have to be a fight. Everyone is not trying to take you down. Everyone's not trying to fight you. So, coming into this moment and this opportunity, I do think that she could ruin it for herself by not learning to be softer and kinder and more open and accepting. Like, I don't think that Allie Joe would have had a problem with Rebecca if Rebecca wasn't so like, well, this is what I'm doing and I don't really feel bad about it. I think
Zoe?
I said Rebecca. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I meant Zoe. Like, I think Zoe's attitude is as much to blame as her actions.
Yes, I agree.
Her just not really caring is, I don't know. I think that's a big part of the problem. I will say, I did think it was kind of funny when Chloe got the Letterman's jacket, because Zoe for sure thought like, I'm an athlete. I'm going to get this. This is my jam. And I pulled him aside, and then she did not actually get the jacket.
We haven't really talked about Chloe, have we? Much.
No.
What do you think of her?
So I don't have a huge opinion on her one way or the other yet. I think she's really pretty. I'm really happy to see a quote unquote plus size woman. I look at her and I feel like she looks like a beautiful average size woman.
Yeah. But the discourse online around her has been crazy. I've seen just a little bit. Like, it's leaking into, like my feed, which has nothing to do with The Bachelor.
Right.
Which is crazy. So, like, I'm sure that the fandom is talking about it, but it's like, this woman is literally a model. And
right. Yeah. well, we're stepping in the right direction. We're stepping in the right direction, getting women of all sizes, shapes, colors, and people from every walk of life. Because I think that that's another thing too. Like, I'm sure that when they cast the Bachelor and the Bachelorette, they say, like, what is your type? What is your vibe? What's your flavor? Well, when you always date the same vibe, type, and flavor all the time, you might not know that something else. Like, you might be missing out on the best person for you, the best personality, because you say, like, I only date such and such women, or I only date petite women, or I only date, whatever women. One thing you will usually see though on The Bachelor is you do see a range of heights and you see a range of ethnicities, but you don't see a wide range of ethnicities. This is my opinion. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. I just feel like you'll see plenty of white women. You see black women. Sometimes you see some Latino women, but like, I don't feel like we see a lot of other cultures. I mean, sometimes we see Asian women, sometimes we see
I think there was
Indian women.
One Asian woman this season, one Indian woman. And
Yeah.
I think they've already all got the axe.
Yeah, and and that's not based on like that's just because the chemistry didn't hit. But I do feel like the representation on The Bachelor and on The Bachelorette, like, it's not great. It seems to be a lot of the same. So I personally am more for like bring on people of different sizes, bring on people of different ethnic backgrounds, bring on people, maybe change the ages up a little bit. But I also know like you have to, like, when they're asking Grant, like, what are you into? What's the youngest? What's the oldest? Like, I know that there are those guidelines, but I would like to see a little bit more diversity if possible. It's just my 2 cents. Whatever, just my 2 cents.
Jumping back to Chloe.
Yeah, sorry.
Kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent there. That's fine.
I'm gonna have to cut some of that out. It's gonna be a 16-hour episode. Only gonna be 20 minutes.
You said you haven't really formed too much of an opinion like on her personality. I'll say I think she seems very nice, sweet, maybe a little passive, but. So I think maybe that's why overall she has made like a big impression.
That could be.
But and so we'll see. Like I said earlier, I think Grant likes someone with a little more edge, so that could be a downside for her in terms of the competition. But we'll have to see on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that she just has to make a little bit more of a splash with him. She does seem nice. She does seem sweet. I did see something though last week online. I forget exactly what it was. I'm not even gonna try to quote it because I really can't remember. But it was something negative, and it was something about her being very into herself and her being having a feeling of feeling like very important. And I don't remember where I saw that. I don't even remember what the quote was, but I remember seeing it and thinking, I totally did not get that.
Yeah,
and I definitely didn't get that last night either. So I did like that she got the jacket. I thought that was awesome. Also because she's not been like a hardcore standout. She's not been someone who's been trying to get his time or whatever. So that was really nice. I thought that was really cool. And now I'm assuming gets to keep that jacket for life. Like, what a fun souvenir.
What did you think? So Juliana got a hand massage.
Okay, yeah.
What did you think about this?
Honestly, I love a hand massage.
Okay.
When I saw him rubbing her hand, I was like, there is something. This is probably gonna sound really weird, but little gestures to me mean the world as a woman, as a wife. And like, there are two kinds of touches. There's sexual touch, there's non-sexual touch. I think that when you are touched in a non-intimate or non-sexual way, it creates so much intimacy between you and your partner, like emotionally and mentally. And there's something so endearing and it feels supportive. And so when he massaged her hands, or her hand, I'm assuming he did massage both, when he massaged her hands, I thought it was really sweet. And I actually didn't catch why he did that, but I do know that she broke all of her little press-on nails off. So maybe he just thought like her hands had a rough go with it or whatever. So I thought that was nice. That was sweet. Do I know if he thought to do that on his own? Not necessarily. I think probably the producers were like, hey, here's a bottle of massage oil. Let's see where you take this. And he was like, okay, I'll massage her hands. Right. That's probably what happened, but I liked it. What do you think about it?
I thought it meant more to her than to him.
I would agree with that.
She, in the sort of post-massage interview, seemed to make a big deal about it. And I could tell mid-massage that it like meant a lot to her. But the whole time I was thinking like, I think he's just being like nice to be polite. I mean, romantic.
Right.
But I didn't think it meant as much to him. Definitely.
I would agree with that. I think it was a nice gesture that he did. I think that to him he was just being thoughtful and kind. Yeah. And I think to her she definitely took that as like, well, we're getting married. Right. We're getting married. Oh, I just had to adjust my microphone because it was flopped over again. So apologies if the sound is whack because we're using new microphones and yeah, we keep having to like adjust. But yeah, I definitely think that it did mean a lot to her. So, but I really like Juliana, and for me, she's a front runner. But she's a front runner for me, like because she's a favorite. I don't necessarily think that he has. I don't think she's in his like top 3 strongest connections. I don't know who is in his top 3 strongest connections. But what would you say right now?
Right now, I would put Alex up there.
Okay, yeah,
one-on-one date
for sure. And when he sang the song to her, and then he said he just wrote it. I
yeah.
don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I was like that was a little too. Maybe just wrote it like a week ago.
Right, not like spur of the moment, sat down, came up with the tune and the. Yeah, I don't probably.
But hey, maybe he's a great freestyler. Who knows? Maybe. Some people can just do that.
Sure.
Which, by the way, and we'll get to that whole date in a second.
Yeah,
that's like a third of the episode. But I thought he really shined on that. But yeah, I was like, and he plays piano, and he can sing, he can rap. Like,
I know, right? I
was like, this guy. He's the Bachelor. Like,
better
obviously,
singer than rapper. I thought I wasn't entertained by his rapping at the performance with Mario, but. Like Carly was like, oh my gosh, like I think she said that his song was a little cheesy, but I actually kind of liked it.
Yeah,
I did. I kind of like the melody like got stuck in my head, but I was like, yeah, that was weird. But really in my head, I was like, I like that. I did. But okay, yeah, back to strongest 3 connections in your opinion right now.
So yeah, definitely Alex.
Agreed.
I would also put maybe Natalie up there. I think she really impressed him.
I think so too. Yeah.
And then honestly, a third would. I don't know if I have a third.
I don't know if I do too. I think he really wants to invest in Latia, and I think he likes her and he's hopeful for her. I don't know if all the chemistry is there. In the opposite way, I think he feels a lot of chemistry with Carolina, where maybe their conversation hasn't been as in depth. She hasn't been as vulnerable, but she's got that edge that Latia I think doesn't have, because I think that Latia maybe has a little bit more tact and manners so far based on what we've seen. But I could see the 2 of them kind of being like in that number 3 position right now.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents. So, go ahead.
Okay, so in the cut after the whole basketball thing and he gives the rose to Natalie, there was a very weird moment. I couldn't tell if it was Parisa or Juliana because they didn't put her name thing up, and to me they kind of look alike.
We got to go back and talk about Parisa in a minute, but carry on.
Okay, one of them was looking for tarantulas.
That was Parisa.
Okay, that was Parisa. And I was like, what the heck?
I know. Like she's just off in her own little world playing like I'm gonna say archaeologist, but that's the wrong word.
Entomologist?
Entomologist?
Yeah. Bug
I
hunter.
don't know, a bug hunter, like a spider bug hunter. Okay, first of all, you caught that she's from Michigan, right?
Yeah.
So she's from Birmingham, Michigan. We're from Michigan. Well, I'm from Michigan.
I was
You're
born
from
there.
Michigan,
I lived
yeah.
there for 10 years.
Yeah. So I was like, why? Like, this is what I've got representing my state right now. Like, come on. I will say that she's very pretty. She seems like a really nice person. But I did kind of laugh on the first episode, like when she displayed like all of her crystals and she was talking about her cats, and then she did the PowerPoint presentation. I was like,
is she the one that gave him like a calming rock or whatever?
Hold
on, I got it in my notes.
Okay, look in your notes, because for some reason I was actually thinking that was someone else, but
right, it
would make sense with her giant crystal collection.
Mm-hmm.
That would totally make sense. I'd like to see more from her, because I have a feeling she's probably like got a really good sense of humor. Something about her says to me, my vibe is, I think she's probably funny. She's probably like fun to be around. But so far, I don't feel like they're giving her, she's not getting a lot of camera time, and the camera time that they are giving her, I don't feel like it's really focusing super well on like Parisa. Rather, it's focusing more on like, look at the weird shit she's doing. Well, I mean, to be fair, like we all do weird shit.
Sure,
like we all like, I mean, I'm not out there hunting tarantulas or anything, but like, okay, I love to hunt 4-leaf clovers. I do it all the time. How many people out there would see me on TV doing that, being like, what is she doing? Like, I don't know. It's something that soothes me. So maybe bug hunting and crystal collecting soothes her. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But I do like her. I like her. I'd like to see her go further. And I actually thought after last night's episode, I thought she was going home. I thought she was getting cut, because she just really didn't get a whole lot of time.
I kind of thought that too. I'm not, familiar with how many people they cut each episode, and obviously it gets fewer and fewer every episode, but there were just other people that didn't get the camera time that I was like, those people are gone.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like you usually can kind of tell like who's going to go and who's not going to go. Or, you at least have like a good idea of who like those last maybe 4 or 5 standing are going to be. I didn't think that, who was the girl again with the blonde hair and the white scarf in the first episode who got the first kiss?
Dina.
I did not think Dina was going to get caught last night.
Neither did I. She didn't have a very strong showing this episode, and I think it really hurt her. But I thought she was really strong the first episode.
I did too. And, she was the first one he kissed, which I think that was just a matter of like time and convenience.
Yeah, with Grant, for sure.
But like it seemed like there was some chemistry there. So I was surprised to see her go. So, excuse me. I just totally got off on another tangent. What the hell were we talking about? My dementia's kicking in.
We should probably talk about the single, the one-on-one date.
Let's talk about the one-on-one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the one-on-one date with Alex. First of all,
Llama Girl. That's
I
was calling her Llama Girl.
I was too.
But now,
respectfully, we're trying to remember her name because we like her.
Yeah.
I like her so much more after last night's episode.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she went from like my least favorite to.
Yeah, I totally agree. I definitely think that a lot of people got a much better impression of her. She seemed less gimmick and she seemed more real.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that was really good. I really like that. Not only did they have a lot of time, like, so they had all this time alone on their date where there's really nobody around other than, probably 20 producers.
I was thinking that. I was like, it looks like they're alone, but I was like, obviously somebody's operating the cameras.
Right. Like, I would love to know how many people are actually behind the scenes watching because, and producing and all that, because like sometimes you're in these really intimate moments and you kind of forget like that the cameras are there. Like there are people there, and I don't know how real I could be in front of a camera like that. In terms of, getting physical with somebody or pouring my heart out. I think I would be pre-thinking everything in my head about what I want to say so that I don't say the wrong thing because it's going to be on national television. And, like this podcast is different. Like, who's listening to this podcast? Mom. Like mom's listening to it. So like I can say all the things in front of mom. I don't worry about it on here. This is completely different. But on there, I just feel like, I don't know. There's just so many people around. But anyways, all that to say, they're running around the mall and have all this privacy. There's no public around them. There are no other girls around them. So what I liked about that date was they not only had the opportunity to have private time and talk and be, more deep. They also had an opportunity to kind of like act like kids and be playful. And I like that we were able to see a playful side of both of them. Like as silly as it sounds, I don't think that just anyone would have been willing to jump on those little like pony things that they were like driving around or, like, and you can tell when someone's trying to fake fun. Like you can tell when someone's like not super into it, but they're just going to do it because they want to go along with it, whatever. I think that they both seemed to really enjoy what they were doing. And can I just note, we do play a lot of ping pong here. I haven't played ping pong in a long time. I only play like if, one of the nieces or nephews are over and they really want to play, don't have anyone to play with, then I will play, but I really don't want to. But if I had those giant ping pong paddles, I would absolutely play ping pong all the time. And I was thinking about, I told Carly, if we had those like at the yearly family reunion, the amount of teenagers and kids that would be knocking each other out with those would be astronomical. And I think maybe we should just invest in them. And it'll be like, what was that? May the odds be ever in your favor. What was that movie?
The Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games. We'll see like the survival of the fittest. We'll see which kid comes out alive on top. I think that might be a new game to bring in.
It might be.
Anyways, I just thought that was really cute and playful, and I enjoyed that they were able to have, because a lot of the dates, like, they're more serious. They're very romantic, and it's all focusing on like romance. And then they go and they have a dinner, and the dinner is very intimate, and they, they like in terms of conversation, they get into these intimate, deep conversations. But I just love that was so, it was just fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is, if I had one word to describe Alex as compared to all the other girls, she's fun. She's young at heart, definitely. I feel like out of all the girls, she's probably, and I don't even mean this in a negative way, she's probably the most immature, or at least like she kind of puts on the least like pretense.
Yes, agreed. I completely agree. I think immature is the wrong word because I think that's her disservice. But I think that she seems to be the least likely to try to be somebody that she's not, or to try to act, more sophisticated or at a certain level. Alex seems like she's just kind of coming in, marching to the beat of her own drum, and just being herself.
Yep.
And if herself isn't what Grant's looking for, I think she's going to be okay with that. She'll be sad, but I think she's going to be okay with that because she seems like a woman who's very true to herself. And I loved like when she started talking about her upbringing last night and how, she didn't really have the support system that she needed. And so that is what inspired her to become a support system for kids. I love that. I felt like that showed a lot of, that was just like, it's wind. It's just the wind. I love that. Like it really, it gave us more insight to her life and to, I feel like she didn't say a lot, but what she did say and then who she became as an adult speaks volumes to what her upbringing was. And so then when I look at her personality and I think she's fun, she doesn't seem overly guarded. She seems very real and very genuine. I think that all those things are very real things. I don't think that any of it's put on based on the information that we learned last night.
Yeah.
So that definitely made her grow from me to someone who I'm like, okay, she went from being in my bottom 3 to she's in my top 3, I would say top 3 or 4. She's definitely one of my favorites, not my favorite, but one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah. I think also, even though, she's like, I just did it. She's gonna get labeled as the fun girl. I also think though, she really showed last night she has like some depth too.
100%.
She opened up, about her upbringing and stuff like you mentioned, and I think, that kind of depth is important. You can't just be the fun girl because fun gets boring. It gets old real fast.
It does. You have to have depth in a relationship. You have to be able to talk about hard things. And if you don't have hard things to talk about, the chances of you and your partner both coming from a very normal, whatever that even is, healthy, stable family are very unlikely. This is America 2025. We are a very dysfunctional society. Our marriage rate is, our success rate on marriage is terrible. So the chances of you both coming from like this perfect, wonderful, happy family is probably way less than at least one of you coming from a broken home or some sort of dysfunction. And so if you can't relate to the dysfunction, I think it's important that you still have depth so that you can empathize and you can support and love your partner through whatever it is. But I think you're 100% right. She could get labeled as the fun girl for sure, but she definitely showed depth. And then, so I feel like she's got 2 elements going for her right there. She's fun, she has depth, but that third element that I think she might bring is that edge that we were talking about earlier, that she's going to have that little bit of edge that he's craving in a partner. And so she really could make it to the end.
Yeah, I think so.
I would like to predict actually right now, I think she's going to end up being one of the 2 women he's in love with.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to call that now. Ask me next week, my opinion might change, but that's what I think could happen.
I think based on our limited information for now, I would agree.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that could change a lot in 1 week, so
for sure.
We'll see.
For sure. Yeah, 100% agree. But I love their date. They definitely seem to, to have a good connection. And you do realize now that the premise of the show is like, so once you get a rose, like partway through the episode, that means that you're safe. You are golden. You are safe. So you always want to see that girl who's on a one-on-one date. Like if it's someone you really love, like you really want them to get that rose. And man, does it suck when they don't. Because sometimes like, the Bachelor will go and they'll have this really great date. Like it looks super fun and they seem to be having a great time together, but the chemistry isn't hitting. Or it's just, for whatever reason, like the Bachelor is feeling like it's just not a match. So then they go to dinner and then they have this dinner together. And usually they will wait until dinner time. They'll have their dinner and then he'll grab the rose and he'll say, Nash, I really want to give you this rose. And then you start smiling because you're like, yay. And, I just think that you're an amazing, wonderful, beautiful person. And then that's when we as the audience are like, oh, and he's like, then he takes it and he goes, but I can't. And he puts it back on the table and you just see that devastation. And like, even if it wasn't someone that you loved, as long as it wasn't someone who you think is the villain, even if it wasn't someone that you loved, you're like crushed for them. Like as a girl, I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like he just didn't get enough time with you or whatever.
And I didn't catch that this go around, but it makes sense. Obviously, if you don't get that rose, it feels like a death sentence.
Right, for sure.
Right? Because you had your one-on-one chat. And I'm guessing there's kind of each episode, there's like 1 or 2 one-on-ones. Is that
each episode
like
there'll be at least one one-on-one.
Okay.
I feel like there's been times where there's been 2 one-on-ones, but honestly, for right now, in my brain, for some reason, I think there's one one-on-one and then 1 group date. Occasionally they'll throw, they'll mix things up or whatever, but then you'll also see a 2-on-1, which is great. I love me a good 2-on-1.
Okay.
And they usually do that. They'll pit 2 people together. So a perfect example of a 2-on-1
would be Zoe and Ellie Joe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, just to go back to correct something. So if she would not have gotten that rose last night on the one-on-one, she would have immediately went home.
Oh, they don't even make it to the rose ceremony.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No. He would have sent her home. Again, like, Bachelor is back fresh in my mind. I watch every season, but my brain's thinking like, wait a minute, do they not always go home? Is there a chance for them to still get a rose? No, I'm pretty sure like if she does not get the rose on that one-on-one, then he sends her home. It's kind of a do or die. So when they go on the 2-on-1 date, and it's always with 2 girls that have,
but he only has 1 rose.
And he only has one rose. Now he can say, and this has happened before on a 2-on-1, and it can happen on a one-on-one. I think this is what I just remembered is he can say, I want to give you this rose, but I'm not ready to give it to you yet. So then she wouldn't necessarily be eliminated. But typically, if he doesn't, like he will make that decision right there. She's either staying or she's going. On the 2-on-1, there have been times where he'll say, I don't know which way I am leaning yet. I need more information. I need to talk to other women in the house to see, whose stories are real and what's meshing and what's real and whatever. So I'm going to reserve the right to get this rose and I will give it later on. So then both of the women would go back. But you'll see it gets really dramatic because when they do a 2-on-1 or like more towards the end of the second half of the episode or second half of the season, like when you go on a one-on-one date or you go on a 2-on-1 date, you have to pack all your stuff in your suitcase. And so then your suitcase is sit next to the door. So either you come back in the door or a production person comes in and they grab the suitcase and they wheel it out. And and the girls are like, no, she went home or whatever.
Right.
But when it's a 2-on-1, it's even more dramatic because they're waiting to see, because they know someone's suitcase is going. So they're waiting to see whose suitcase leaves. And sometimes the girl comes back in and everyone's like, yeah. And other times the girl come in and they're all looking at each other like, he got this wrong. He got this wrong. So yeah. So those roses are very important. They are, for the most part, they're usually do or die. So
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even sense that. Like I didn't know that was on the table. But now going forward, obviously that's something to look at. The whole time I was just like, oh, this just seems like so natural for both of them, and they're having a lot of fun. and et cetera, et cetera. So I was just like, they're just having a good time.
Right.
I didn't even know their rose was on the table at all because I
Yes.
never watched a one-on-one date.
Yes.
I thought she would just go on to the rose ceremony and like everybody else.
Yep.
So
Yep. No, so they're always, roses are always on the table on those one-on-one dates, and then there's one on the group date. So
Right.
you want to get that rose, like you want to get that rose. And oftentimes, on the group date, the rose, sometimes it goes to who you want to, sometimes it doesn't. But you also have to remember, like, as an audience, we're seeing conversations and we're seeing behind the scenes things that he has not seen yet, that he does not know yet. Or we're also seeing edits of a person where we think like, oh, she's a total villain. Like, who knows? Honestly, 3 episodes from now, I might look at Zoe in a completely different light and say, you know what? She was just being real. She was shooting her shot. She wasn't doing anything wrong. And as it turns out, she's actually really nice. That could be my feeling. But for right now, I'm not getting that particular.
Yeah, I will say I doubt our opinions on her will change too much more.
I think so.
But
No.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So, okay, so let's talk about, did you have any surprises last night on who was eliminated? Was there anyone that was eliminated that you didn't anticipate?
No.
Same.
Yeah, basically, maybe.
Dina.
Oh, yeah, right.
I didn't see Dina get eliminated.
Right. So I will say, like, I didn't get a full list of who got eliminated, honestly.
Me neither.
Because it just kind of glossed over them. Because I think it's the second episode. They're still kind of getting out like big batches of people.
Yes, weeding people out.
I know. So the ones that I know of, there was Alicia, Ella, Rebecca, and Dina. I guess I was a little surprised about Dina. Rebecca, I felt like she thought that she was not going to get eliminated.
Agreed. And when she hugged him, like when she walked up there and she hugged him, like even Carly was like, "Ooh, that was weird." Like she was very stiff.
Yeah.
And it was very uncomfortable. So yeah, no, I don't think she thought she was going. That didn't surprise me, but I don't think she thought she was going. Dina, I was very surprised about. I was a little bit surprised about Ella. I thought she had a chance to stay as well. And then who was the other one?
Alicia was another one, but she honestly did not stand out to me at all. I couldn't even tell you anything about her.
Yeah, I can't even place.
I literally just in my notes I have blonde.
Okay, all right.
So that tells you.
So that just tells me that not that she's not memorable, she just didn't get camera time the way the other women did. And I do definitely feel like obviously they're going to give more camera time to women that Grant initially shows his interest in, but I also think that they're going to give more camera time to people who are dramatic, who are loud, who are kind of like commanding the room and taking space. So if you're not either one of those things, then yeah, no, we're not going to see. Like there was one woman last night, Beverly, she was given a rose, she stayed, but Carly said, like at the very end of the episode, Beverly pops up in an interview and Carly said, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Beverly." But we really didn't see her a whole lot this episode.
Yeah.
So, but it will, as people get eliminated, as we move forward, it's going to get, first of all, you're going to know everybody's names. You'll remember everybody's name, or I say you're doing great. I will remember everyone's names. But it gets more intense on every single level. The feelings get more intense. The love feelings get more intense. The drama feelings get more intense. The girls get really bananas crazy. Whoa. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. This was so super fun.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
I'm so glad that you are officially a member of Bachelor Nation. Maybe I should make us some shirts that say like Bachelor Nation or something like that. Mine will be like super fan. Yours can be baby fan or something.
Sure.
But yeah, so this was really fun. If you tuned in and watched, thank you so much. Please make sure that you subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. If you've got any comments, any thoughts, anything that you want to share them in the YouTube comments, or you can email me directly at camerascrownsandchaos@gmail.com. I look forward to interacting with you. If you disagree with anything that we said today, I want to know. I would love to know. So please, we really encourage your feedback. We want to hear it. I hope you enjoyed hearing from the female perspective of someone who's been watching for a long time and the male perspective of someone who's been watching for 2 weeks. I think that was probably a fun mix. So anyways, I'll catch you next time. I guess I'll see you guys Friday on Friday's regularly scheduled episode. And until then, I hope that you were informed, educated, and maybe even a little bit inspired. Go out and have a great day and be the best person you can be. Bye.